everybody. It is Speaking Line for DLC Required, a podcast where gamers talk about gaming and whatever gamers talk about. But today we're talking about Borderlands 4, baby. Because today at Gamescom 2024, Gearbox 2K announced finally Borderlands 4. So who else do we have on but Ki11erSix to come yell about it? Because we made this plan ages ago to be like, the moment BL4 is announced, the moment this is real, we're talking, right? So it's I cannot process what to do. I'm waiting. I'm feral. I'm refreshing Twitter. I am looking at all your theories. I'm looking at my theories. I feel like the Charlie Day meme with Pepe Sylvia. Like, it's insane. So enjoy our chaos rambling. Expect more of it. Anyone else you went on to talk about BL4, let me know, at me, send me a DM, whatever it is. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Without further ado, here is Ki11erSix talking about Borderlands 4.
I ate a whole pizza tonight.
A whole fucking pizza?
Yeah.
From where?
Gino's.
I've never had
it. Was
Gino's.
it was like yay big.
Oh, so it's like you ate a small pizza. That's a better size. That's a man's measurement of how big something is.
I got halfway through and I was like, I should probably just stop there. And I was like,
why would you? I do that with
really
like cookie cake. I can't be responsible if there's a cookie cake, like a grocery store fucking cookie cake. My God, I will inhale the thing in one night. It doesn't stop. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Back in my young skinny person days, I used to eat chocolate frosting right out of the thing.
God, that sounds so good. I know. Good. Graham crackers and like cream cheese icing, perfect. Just like staying there in the kitchen kind of snack. My God, that's my nanny days.
We should have like a
food
thing. Yeah,
we should, a whole food episode.
Where we just talk about food.
I think it's clearly the way to go. I mean, here's the thing. Shit. This is what I'm talking about with the inner planet. Like, I think this is a whole new planet we're seeing.
Right.
But if we're
stuff is like slammed here.
If everything is like slamming down, going to the ground, I don't. Psychomask aren't just on Elpis. Like, there aren't psychos on Elpis at this point. So what, at least that we know of. So crashing down to the ground, I don't know. I just feel like we're gonna be on completely new planets. I think we're gonna jump far ahead. We're getting so ahead of ourselves here. Borderlands fucking 4 got announced today. I think that's the main thing here. This is the context we're missing for this rant. And K6 and I both have the same wallpapers up of these stills from the trailer today. It was like a 1-minute teaser, and it's Elpis looking like it's breaking through a barrier, which looks sick as fuck. The graphics look so pretty. I'm so hyped. And then it's the Psychomask being held by what looks like what we think is like a guardian hand, I would say.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. It is weird if this is a guardian. It has 4 fingers and a thumb, which most guardians only have 3 fingers and a thumb, right?
True.
Keep that in mind.
I think it's something in someone we haven't seen before. There was a lot of debate today. I like went live in a panic in between like work meetings to be like, let's scream about this. And it was like, it's Gage, it's Hammerlock, and it just looking between everything. It's not like, I think it's just someone we have not seen before, whatever that looks like. And since I think we're so far in the future and so far across what we know of the galaxy, what I'm guessing, like this looks like a brand new planet to me. And I think this is going to be a new. The music feels sinister. I want to say it sets up like a villain, but I think it's also just the tone of the game. Even if it's like a hand which Borderlands could do this, a hand that's totally not relevant, just a random fucking thing that's not remotely part of the story, and it's just a cool robotic looking hand. Very much could be it, but the music and tone of it feels much more like a darker, more serious story. Just with the vibe of this like 1-minute clip we got.
Well, what I heard from the music, it sounded like it was really kind of bridging the gap in the music from like the early days of like Borderlands 2 to like some of the Borderlands 3 music. Like, it had like that little bit of a western, like the space western kind of sound to it. Yeah. But then it also had like the more almost even like pre-sequel kind of music, which who we had Racing. How do you say his name? I forget how to pronounce his last name. Anyhow, there was, I think, like 3 different full-time musicians that did the soundtrack to the pre-sequel, and 2 or 3 that did for Borderlands 2, and then there was a bunch for Borderlands 3. And the music's always been great in all the Borderlands games, but there's something about the music in this trailer that that like really gave me some of that Borderlands 2 nostalgia.
It did. It had that Jesper Kid kind of vibe, but also like Josh has, who did the Wonderlands music. If he's on for this one, he does have kind of those. You feel those influences in there because it does kind of feel that epic Wonderlandsy vibe, which is what I was ranting about today with. Someone was asking if Wonderlands tied into the overall stories, and it just, I think how grounded Wonderlands does make itself, even with its fantastical story around it. I think a lot of that vibe can carry over to 4. That like the good parts of that I really like Dragon Lord and those kind of themes, like the actual audio themes of it do feel so grounded in what feels like a big epic fantasy game while still feeling like Borderlands. And I don't know, the trailer just felt so cinematic to me in a way that I think is really refreshing for a lot of the teasers we've seen. But compared to, you know, their launch for New Tales to this, or like even the reveal for New Tales to this, like it gives us such a clear picture of the vibe I hope we're getting from it. Like if this is the vibe they're going for, I think they really nailed it. Like that's a hype fucking trailer.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say something real quick too.
How dare you?
Not how allowed. Dare I do? But I was just thinking about this earlier because one of my moderators asked me, he goes, how much of this did you know about ahead of time? Nothing. And you know what? I kind of love that. I kind of love that.
Same.
Because I got to experience the exact same way as everybody else. I didn't get it like a day or a week early or anything like that. And it's like, oh man, I got to keep a secret. I got to experience it at the exact same time as everybody else. And I kind of want more of that.
Yeah, getting to build the hype of it, like being able to speculate, like when the Summer Games Fest was rolling around and we were all like, is it going to be Borderlands or not? And we all kind of got to have that, like, I'm going to clown moment. And then this was just, it was that feeling that you knew, but it just not knowing what we were going to see, even if we like felt like it was probably or hopefully going to be. And then I got to be a crazy person today and on stream literally figure out when 2K's fiscal year was and when they marked it and go through the PDFs while on stream because we were like doing these conspiracy theories. Like we have no fucking idea. Like no one's been shipped the game. And I love when I do see that. I see like K6 and Jolts have like played the game and like some like the game that's probably not finished. Okay.
We don't I can promise you me and Jolts know literally nothing about Borderlands 4 outside of this trailer at this point.
It's so good though.
So they've done a really good job of keeping secrets and I'm kind of all about that honestly. For a number of reasons. Number one, me and Jolts got blamed for a lot of issues with Borderlands 3 that we had no control over.
You're not the devs on the game? What? You're not shareholders?
Like, actually, believe it or not, we didn't actually make the game, guys. We played it early and we gave a lot of notes, but that doesn't mean that they are going to follow all those notes. But yeah, so like if we don't get it early, then I guess maybe people can't blame us as much. I don't know.
I think people are going to want to blame someone anyway. And it's just, people have an idea of what they want for a game. And I think we talked about this last time too, where it's like people playing Borderlands 4 for the first time. Some people, that's going to be their first Borderlands game ever. It's going to be their first looter shooter. It's going to be their first video game. And you have to make a game that includes all of those people and make it accessible. And it needs to feel like you're not like people like us who play it thousands of hours aren't picking it up and going, well, this feels like someone who's never played a video game. Like this feels very watered down. Like there's so much you have to balance with the longevity of a game, and a game like Borderlands, it still gets as many updates as like 3 got. I feel like we have to have some kind of understanding that everything we get at launch isn't going to be the end of the life cycle for this game. It never has been.
Right.
And so we're so quick to
like
judge.
Borderlands 2 was 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years before they, number one, added in the fastball as a dedicated drop, added in the infinity pistol as a dedicated drop. And number 3, before they fixed the drop rates from 3% for an unkempt herald to drop to 10%. And that was across the board for like most of the legendaries.
It still took me years. It still took me years.
And even then, they still didn't fix the Warriors drop rates.
No.
The Warriors drop rates are dog shit.
Yeah, no, they fucking
Am I allowed
suck.
to cuss on here?
Yeah, yes, all the time.
Hold on, I could be like dog.
See, I need to get one of those, but I can't help it. I will literally be like, okay, we're not gonna curse, and then within 10 seconds, I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I did that. Every time. No, it's cool. This is hashtag not sponsored. No, Gearbox is not paying us to be a shill right now for this game. We're just unpaid shills.
Need money.
I know, same.
Need money.
Gearbox, baby boy daddy.
White Castle burgers aren't going to buy themselves. Hashtag not sponsored this time.
Yeah, I was like, this time we both were shills for White Castle.
Dude, listen, I got to eat grape jelly on sliders, dude. How often you get to do that?
What a disaster, though. I love it. They were actually like chill. No, I was laughing because I just went to go see Alien Prometheus, and I took one of my writer friends who I had taken to the early showing of Borderlands that they had in LA. And so it was like payback of like, hey, let's go see a good movie kind of vibe. And I'm like, okay, AMC has like awesome curly fries. I'm going to get us some. And he's vegetarian. I was like, this is going to be great. And we can snack on this and whatever. We sit down. I open them right before the movie starts. And I realize they're bacon sliders. They're not remotely. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's too late to like get up and like go. And I'm like, whatever. So I committed to eating them. And I literally out loud went, the Borderlands White Castle sliders are better than like these little microwave White Castles were just better, and it was so disappointing. But also I was like, good job, that's a good collab then. Like, that's effective. You have a White Castle customer now.
Yep.
There were so many random collabs though, like in LA. Like we have Insomnia cookies for Borderlands, and then there's another burger place. Like I keep seeing signage. I'm like this is the Boba Time coaster you get, and I'm like, why? But it, it's fine. It's here now. It's cool. Why not?
Maybe that brings down some of the loss on the movie. I don't know.
I think the popcorn buckets bring down some of the loss on the movie.
Yeah,
people are rabid for those popcorn
traps.
buckets. It is sick. It is sick.
Yeah.
I had it at the Gearbox premiere, and they weren't selling them there. Friend just grabbed it and like handed it to me when I walked in because they got theirs earlier, and I was like, great. And so then everyone was just like, where did you get that? And I'm like, oh, it was just given to me. And they're like, do they still have them? And then I just saw them coordinating, sending people to different AMCs in Frisco to try to get them. And I'm like, yeah, the popcorn buckets are going to help.
Yeah.
But I think it's good promo either way. I mean, like, that's the thing. If the movie's driving people to go play the games, I mean, we knew this was going to be hype no matter what. I am glad we got an announcement. But when are you expecting release?
Well, usually with Gearbox, or at least in the past, whenever they've like teased or started like talking about it, it's usually within 6 months they drop, right?
I was saying that people thought
March?
it was crazy. The thing with March. So I sound crazy, and I love that they're going to tell us like next week at PAX or maybe, and like I'm sitting here acting like an insane person. But if you're looking at the timeline of Civ 7 coming out in February, and then GTA 6 coming out in autumn. So you want to have a buffer between there. I don't think they had a release date for Mafia when they were looking at. I think it was like winter or whatever they were looking at that they just announced. But it would put them in March-ish for the 6-month timeline. Wonderlands had a 9-month turnaround, but they were also announced in the summer. But on the 2K press release today that went out, it does say that Borderlands expected in or is coming out in 2025, parentheses, 2K's fiscal year 2026 is what it says on the press release. But I looked it up, and their fiscal year ends March 31st.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it's going to be early April. Yeah, I think it's going to like kick off their fiscal year to be April release, to give time between that and to give Civ like a month breathing room, basically like a month and a half breathing room of a launch.
Right.
And then like with Take-Two now just owning so much, I think it has to give time before Rockstar comes in autumn. So I think we're probably looking at April. I could see maybe May, but it would follow the timeline more if it were April. But that's where my money is.
I'd be kind of surprised if GTA doesn't get pushed back a little bit too.
Yeah.
I know that they want to get it out in 2025, but that's going to be a huge game, and I wonder how much they're crunching right now, you know?
I wonder that too. I wonder that with 4, honestly. And I feel like there's just so much I love about games not announcing they exist at all until they're close to release. Because I feel like it may not actually cut down on the crunch when you're actually in it, depending on how the shareholders do it. But like the public scrutiny of that crunch and everything else, like give them the breathing room to do it in peace. Like Naughty Dog's been really good about doing that. So I'm hoping this is closer to the 6-month cycle than like a year, partly because leakers suck and it's going to be catnip for people. And like, don't leak the fucking game, guys. Don't fucking leak the game. Like, don't be a dick. And it doesn't help anything. And we just get mad about stuff we see that's not even released. Like, give it time in the oven at that point. And I feel like GTA 6 is so much example of that, where it's just people clamoring for anything. And I don't want Borderlands falling on that. I want to give it the time it needs to launch and launch well. No, this art is so pretty. I'm still just like sitting here like,
I know, like I keep like looking over, like if you see me like looking to the side, this is because I'm just like
No, I keep staring. I keep finding new details in the Elpis one where it's just like tearing through. It just looks so fucking pretty.
And it honestly, it looks like the iridium's like trying to like burst out of Elpis too.
But the search for Spock, search for Lilith is just going to be so good. It's just
right.
I do think it's going to end her chapter though. Like whatever happens here, I do think this feels
cool
like I'm sure you are. I'm sure most people on the internet seem to be cool with that.
This is something that I said a while back I was hoping, and this looks like it's probably not going to go that way, but I was hoping that Ava would crash Sanctuary into Elpis while trying to rescue Lilith, but accidentally smashing and killing her. But luckily Marcus was off the ship at the time, and we just start over with just Marcus.
That would be sick. I was going to say, do you expect Ava to be here, but you just killed her off in that fantasy.
Everybody else is dead, including Lilith, who got smashed. He's like, I'm a terrible leader.
she's had years probably to sulk on Elpis, fuck up the continuity of sirens in the universe. She's probably got some angst, some trauma. It'll be a spicy Lilith we get.
I hope she has an eye patch.
That would be sick. She'd look hot. Captain Scarlet just walks out and goes, "It's me, Lilith." And that's it.
It's like, oh shit, same voice actress.
Exactly. Could have fooled me. I should have put it together.
Should have known this whole time.
Exactly. They just pull a fast one on us.
Lilith sucks. Got it.
Lilith sucks. I don't hate Lilith like the internet hates Lilith, but I also don't hate Ava like the internet hates Ava. I like Ava.
I don't think I hate any of the characters that much. I'm ready to move on from certain characters.
I agree.
Lilith is the main one that I'm ready to move on from. I feel like we've gone through, like, people are always talking about, like, you'll see somebody say, well, they need to bring Handsome Jack back. And then you hear somebody else go, oh, no, we're done with Jack. We don't need any more. I feel that way about Lilith. Like, we're good.
I feel that way about most everyone, and I love all the characters, but I keep comparing it to Resident Evil, where it just really needed to like reboot, reinvent itself more, like when it got to around game 5, 6 in the cycle, and people just really stopped playing it because 4 was a masterpiece, and then it just became difficult. And changing a lot of how they, like completely changing it to first person and a lot of different stuff, like really revitalized the games. But also it just gave us new plot lines. It made us appreciate older ones. Like that reboot kind of feeling it's needed. I feel like Borderlands with new tales and Wonderlands has tried to branch out to those kind of things. And they are generally receptive looking at like the Wonderland side of it. But Tales is a good example that I feel like if you have something pulling you in to ground you into the universe of Borderlands, you don't need the whole cast of like reoccurring supporting characters. Like you can sprinkle in references to them, but we don't need it. And so I'm hoping whatever this is ties it up.
You just need holographic Jack.
You need Damian Clark to come back and heckle you the entire game, obviously, is what we're saying.
It was Shade. Shade was the real character that pulled that whole thing together.
Yeah, I think we're also forgetting Nakayama,
Yeah, Nakayama, baby.
We gotta pay our respects there.
One thing that I said, somebody was talking about that. I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody had said, talking about the crystal thing from New Tales.
That was in chat today. Yeah.
So somebody was talking about like how they're worried about that, and I was like, well, what if when Lilith smashes Elpis through that thing, she actually crashed into the little crystal, and was it Timmy? Little Timmy the robot? She smashed and killed Timmy, but at the exact moment that they smashed into Timmy ran into Nakayama's grave and revived Nakayama. Ta-da!
Done. Magic.
Now we got Jacks everywhere.
That's the real thing. Instead of fighting a corporation or a bunch of psychos or a bunch of Iridians, they're just all copies of Jack, but they all talk. They all have the AI.
Oh, damn.
They don't know they're all calling you at the same time.
Oh, jeez.
That's the quickest way to get people to get over Jack, I think.
Yeah, they were like, we're done. We're good.
No, I don't think I saw Jolts and I were arguing today I say arguing, it was very lighthearted, but like we were fighting in the street behind a Waffle House, fist fighting.
Nice.
I won, obviously. But no, it was just talking about that flash of gold at the end of the trailer with the Iridian writing. And the lining up of the face on Jack, and he was like, this looks like Jack. And I'm like, as someone who has obsessively studied this man's face in great detail, no, you guys are all crazy. And I had to like pull up Photoshop and do this. And I'm like, the eyebrows are totally wrong. The nose is way too short. Even if you're taking the BL3 model, which is broken as is, but take the BL3 model because it's in this engine. No, like I really think I'm not worried at all about the crystal from New Tales. I'm not worried at all about anything from New Tales, honestly. Like it was it was Gearbox Quebec, and it's just a different team on it. And they can exist in the same universe without us like keeping us in this moment. And we've had so much of like corporation. I don't think this is just going to be a wash, rinse, repeat of like, cool, we had Doll, then Hyperion, and then, or excuse me, we had Atlas, Doll, Hyperion, and we like go back through all these, and then just we have now Malawan again. No, who do we have left? Vladoff. It's Vladoff now, and just I think we have to see a pivot from the standard structure of these games, and TPS got the closest to that with making it feel less like corporation versus whatever, but it is because of those Elpis elements. And I think we're going to see some of those TPS vibes, which has a lot of that grounding, a lot of that Vault Hunter like agency, a lot of the, you know, kind of desolate vibes of like all the writing on the wall. The elements of 3 and TPS that overlap, I think this is really going to marry them based on the 1 minute clip we have where I'm talking out my ass of the vibe of the trailer. But that's what it feels like. And that's what I'm hopeful for, because it does feel like the series deserves for characters to really have high stakes, even if the world is ridiculous around it at times.
Yeah, I think if you take the best parts of the pre-sequel, which is obviously the skill trees and the Vault Hunters and the gameplay of that, and the story, which I think is criminally underrated. I think it's probably, in my opinion, the best base game story of all the main Borderlands titles. It's the best version of the shooters, narratively, And people can say that it's not the mainline game or whatever, but it is. It's definitely a mainline game, in my opinion, even though it's not a numbered game. But I think that it does a better job of like setting up things than most of the other Borderlands games does. And so if you can like take that vibe and incorporate it with the gameplay that we have from Borderlands 3, then you've got a winning formula, I think.
I also think we're just going to see a more mature game. And this is me like just looking at what Sam with Sam Winkler being narrative director on this game and what he did with Wonderlands and Guns, Love, and Tentacles. Like both of those are really good at taking, you know, the zaniness of Borderlands, but having them grounded in some, you know, actual angst stories, you know, shocking, heavy moments, and that more serious vibe throughout, even if we have the Borderlands humor. And I feel like since he came in, like already through 3, like they've already mapped out story beats. They had a lot of that. Like if you got to craft a game from the beginning, I'm imagining it's going to be something that does feel more like here is a narrative punch to like launch, like get that momentum back. Because right now, I would argue that we're just kind of doing like legs of marathons with every game. Like it's very much like, okay, like we got through 3. Now we're like, there's no momentum in the series right now, even though it feels like there should be with how much has come out. And it's a perfect opportunity to launch that, which I think is going to have to evolve with wrapping up a lot of stories. Like we don't need more on the Raiders as much as I love them, but this world is supposed to be massive. And with 3 expanding to all these different planets, we're really trying to illustrate that. And we're selling ourselves short by having us focus on Scooter and Ellie and sitting here in Sanctuary. Like, what else is going on? Which is why I do hope this is an Iridians fighting back kind of moment for whatever we have done to the planet and whatever we have done to this universe. And it just feels like there needs to be consequences for the way we've behaved through it. And, you know, I'm hopeful that we're going in that kind of more serious direction for the games.
Speaking of Sam Winkler, like I remember after playing Wonderlands, the very first thing I did as soon as I beat Wonderlands was I sent him a message and I said, that was a very good story. And you know me, I don't
you don't give a fuck about stories.
I don't really care about story. So that was the first thing that I messaged to him. And already before that point, I was already hyping up the gameplay of Wonderlands. Like the gameplay and the story of Wonderlands is so good. And I think not enough people talk about the real big important thing here is that Sam Winkler wrote the Dragon Lord.
Exactly.
And the Dragon Lord is the second best villain we've had across all the games.
Hands down.
Period.
There's
no arguing that.
There's not. And I think a lot of that, we've talked about this before, is like to do with the casting, but also just giving that material to an actor and choosing, like seeing that brought to life in that way. Like the Dragon Lord absolutely is what is so much of the driving force in Wonderlands and what makes it, like I say this with the Dragon Lord little Funko behind me, but like I love him. He's my baby. He's my child. But like, no, he's like the scene with Butt Stallion being beheaded. Absolutely just gut wrenching. Like it was so unexpected. And even with something that is like, this isn't a TTRPG kind of world, and this is a story, and like what's real and what's consequential and what's not. And Tina's reacting, but her characters are reacting. Like, even with all of this gray area on it, it was one of those things that, like, no, this feels like this is a real event that just happened that I'm having a real emotion to, not just like, well, it's in a random DLC or it's in a random like spinoff and it's just Butt Stallion and they're playing a game. It doesn't matter. Like, it felt like there were stakes and it felt like it was weight, and you barely had that much time in Brighthoof at that point. And so being able to establish this whole new world and whole new characters, but be able to bring in one thing that doesn't have, like, Butt Stallion doesn't have lore, really. She's just kind of like a claptrap kind of symbol of like, here's a Borderlands thing, and still making you feel something about it. Like, remarkable. Right. And so I really hope Borderlands starts with like, we have our epic soundtrack opening, we do all that, but then there's just devastation, like seeing Pandora gone, like Sanctuary gone, and we're on the other side of the universe. We need to find Sanctuary again because we're like off fucking around somewhere. We have no idea who these people are, and it's not just this, hey, like, I was hired to be a vault hunter and I happen to run into you guys. Like, what is our connecting pulse to the story? And I feel like there's no way that, even with the Borderlands formula, that the way Sam writes, it's just going to be kind of like left up to chance. Like, it feels like it's going to be integrated into the narrative of that based on how Wonderlands went.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I'm hopeful for this fucking game.
I'm so hopeful for this game. It's one of the things that I've said in, you know, touching back on how I don't really care that much about the story. It doesn't mean that I don't want there to be a good story. I would love for the story to be as good as possible. It's just, for me, that's not the most important thing. But something that I've always said is that if they can get a very good story along with the gameplay of Borderlands 3, along with the in-game loot rarities of Borderlands 2, but with the balancing more close in line to Borderlands 3, then I'm a happy man. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
I don't want to have to hear any more shit about the story.
No, like, that's true.
Let me tell you a story. I went to Subway today. Today, as a matter of fact, I was at Subway today with my son, and we're ordering, and I'm wearing my Vault Hunter shirt, my Vault Hunter symbol shirt. Your here.
Shill shirt.
Yeah, my shield shirt. Yeah. That I paid for myself. And the guy at the cashier, he goes, "Oh, is that a Half-Life shirt?" And I go, "No, it's Borderlands." And he goes, "Oh, I love Borderlands." I'm like, "Really?" You know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyhow, so he says it'd be so cool if they released a third game. Like, he was, you know, being, you know, he was joking because you know, he didn't like that. So I said, well, you know, maybe they'll release a fourth game soon. And he goes, he was like, I just wish the story didn't suck so bad on Borderlands 3. And I go, you know, I've never once in my life gone, man, I can't wait to play the story of this video game. And he was like, okay, that's a good point. I was like, Borderlands 3 is like the best game in the franchise, and nobody.
Borderlands 3 is a ton of fucking fun to play, and that's always what I tell people, because I want to give the caveat of I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea story wise. I love the story. I'm also brainwashed by my girlfriend, who has played 500 hours in BL3 of just story playthroughs, because they do not farm. They do not do any of the grinding. They just play story.
Just the story.
Just the story, which I remember them saying that to Mopioid's face. And we were having drinks, and he was like, "Wait, I thought you said you don't farm, you don't grind." She's like, "No." It's like, "And you have 500 hours. What do you do?" And they were like, "I just play the story again." And he just goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, he was so mortified. And I'm like, some people love it. I have a theory with 3. If you don't have siblings and you don't have religious trauma, you don't appreciate the story as much. And that's just something out there. But like, my big thing with 3 is the pacing. And as much as I sit here and will be like, oh, dialogue's so important, like, don't skip it, I still have those moments in 3 where I'm like, oh my god, this pacing is broken, let me skip this, let me go, or I don't care about this, why is this here, why do we have all these different side stories? And I still have those complaints that come up, but like to your point, the gameplay is so fun. I dissociate from that half the time anyway. And I want the perfect balance of that where like when I play TPS, I'm playing it for both. I'm playing it for the gunplay, the gameplay, the story. Like I just love the world of pre-sequel because it does feel like you have more agency in the story. It feels like the side quests and everything you're doing are relevant to the story. And it doesn't feel like you need to like run around everywhere and piece it all together without paying attention. Like it doesn't feel like an Elden Ring kind of thing where I have no idea what I'm doing and I need to go collect the lore. Like if I want it, it's there, but it doesn't take too much time and focus. I do think the issue people may have from just how new games tend to be with very cutscene heavy, you know, because you and I have argued about this before. Like I love my cutscenes. And I think with the beautiful animations we got today, where it does say not gameplay, so I don't know. But I feel like if we have, you know, at least the same amount of cutscenes in 3, if not, you know, more to give that more narrative kind of story, people are going to want to complain about, you know, that obviously, because it's very much like you want to like go and shoot. Like we don't play this to have like a Last of Us kind of experience playing a game. However, I do think if there's a genre that can marry that kind of gameplay of like, here's a really good, compelling story with this rich world you've built rather than just ignore it, it would be Borderlands. Like having that gunplay and having that where you can skip the cutscenes after you've seen them, or even if you haven't, and, you know, have that cyberpunk like feeling where you can force forward the dialogue and still keep doing what you're doing. I think that, like Randy always compares it to like the Borderlands is supposed to be between the two genres. I think leaning into that is going to be beneficial for the longevity of 4 reaching new audiences and allowing people to replay it in a way. I just know the way the community tends to replay it. Clearly, we're skipping cutscenes. We're doing that. We're just getting loot. We're all that. So you need the dedicated drops. You need the raid bosses. You need all the stuff that makes it a looter shooter. But I don't want that to be at like the caveat being, well, then you don't get good story or then you don't get good gunplay. Like they need to find a way to marry both. And if they've been developing this since 3 or before 3 even launch, then hopefully that's really locked and loaded in there. Yeah,
I'm you know, talking on that, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it hasn't been long enough for development and the games can be rushed. And I'm like, no. Paul Sage, who was like running the show on Borderlands 3, was immediately like working on something else as soon as Borderlands 3 launched.
They were working on the next project for things.
Yeah. So I have to imagine that it's been in production for at least the 5 years.
I feel like it has to have been with just, how everyone reacts around it. Also just like the game cycle in general. Like there's no way a game this massive has had this 2 years in the oven to do whatever. They also wouldn't have waited so much time between 3 and now to do that.
And looking at the like effects of it tearing through the barrier or whatever it is that it's tearing through Elpis, do you think that they're on Unreal Engine 5 or do you think they're still rocking the same engine as Borderlands 3?
I think it might be the same engine.
Is there any way to tell?
I don't know if there's a way to tell, but I just feel like if they've been in development that long, it might be the same engine.
They probably would have been the same engine,
I could have seen them like having to pivot at a point, but I go back to like Embracer bullshit with like, okay, when were they bought by Embracer? When were they sold off? And then would that have changed any dates or anything going around there? Because so much of that would have been dependent on it. But if I could see them, that's the thing. I'm talking on my ass because I'm a fucking armchair dev at this point of starting a cycle in, you know, the same engine and then like a year into development being like, oh no, let's make this longevity for consoles, let's do this, let's like change it all. Like how much money do you lose doing that, and how much does it pay off? How often does it happen? I don't fucking know, but I feel like if like either they've been building it in a new engine since the beginning for however way they could or whatever they were tweaking about it, or they know what they're doing with 3 and they're carrying that over. Like I don't see between all the Embracer stuff that
it looks like Unreal Engine first revealed in May of 2020, officially released in 2022. So would developers have had access?
I feel like they would have. Is that insane to think? I feel like they would have.
That would have only been like,
especially a AAA developer.
That'd been like 8 months after Borderlands 3 released.
If they knew there was one on the horizon,
right?
I feel like that like all the pre-dev that has to happen beforehand, like
And I wonder if that played into the whole Epic Games exclusivity as well.
That's
like,
true.
You know,
Which we had the
trade-off
Steam
there.
link today, which I was shocked about.
Yes. I got to be honest. Thank God.
No, I really didn't expect it. I did not expect it fully, and I thought that's why I couldn't find the pre-order link, or not the pre-order but the wishlist link. And so I just went on Steam and typed it in, and it populated immediately, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it does say cross-platform.
Yes, right out the gate. And did you notice no old gen?
It doesn't. You're right.
No PlayStation 4, no Xbox One. Those were things that were very much holding Borderlands 3 back in terms of getting pearlescence.
They were.
In terms of getting like some of the other stuff that we really wanted, Seraphs and probably even more raid bosses and such. So
honestly, thank God. I mean, like, I know it sucks because I'm one of the people who buy a PS5 from like a scalper kind of thing. Like, I was like, I'm desperate for this thing. I want it out before this game, and they were, you know, sold out everywhere. But they're fucking everywhere now. This console's also like, I understand, like, I still have my PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and my PS5 in my apartment. Like, I have my generational PlayStations because they don't port these games and I want them, or then I want to move it. Like, I understand having a console wait too long. I got my PS4 years and years and years and years into the cycle because I wanted to play Until Dawn, and I just was tired of not having one. But like, I had a PS2 for way longer, like through the entire cycle of 3 at that point. But the PS5 has been out for going on 5 years. Like, it's been at least 4 years, I think. Like, it was, I think 2020 it dropped, maybe 2019. But either way, that's a long time for a console.
Right. Yeah.
And the PS4 was fucking when? Like, PS4 was 2013. That was over 10 years ago.
Oh, God. Yeah, the PlayStation 5 was 2020, November 2020.
And Xbox One, which I keep going, no, that's the most recent one. And then it's not. Yeah, Xbox One was 2013.
Damn.
So that's like when BL2, right? That felt weird. Nothing makes sense. No time makes sense. But fucking Xbox One was literally a year after BL2 was released when it came out. That's how old it is.
That's wild.
And so I feel like we're just like clinging to these older consoles, and accessibility is important with consoles, but also the technology has advanced so much at that point. We need like to get the stuff we want at launch or in general. You gotta cut and run. Yeah,
I think like I think PlayStation 5, even though it's, you know, what, 4 or 5 years, it's like 5 years old, I guess, at this point. That's basically like 8-year-old PC technology at this point, if you think of it that way.
Yeah, that's very
usually
true.
Consoles are like a couple years behind PC technology when they first come out. But I will say this, having played Borderlands 3 on the PlayStation 5, load times are really nice. Things run pretty well,
bro. When I moved,
it drives me
PS4,
crazy that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One did not get fixes for their crashes, though.
My love for BL3 went up so much more when I got a PS5, because that game would not load on my laptop, and I didn't have a PC at the time. And my PS4, I always like counted it by how many times Claptrap danced across the screen, and it was like at least 5 times on a whole TV where I could just like get up, go do something, come back. The first time I loaded it on my PS5, before I even got the upgrade for it, like the PS5 version of it, I was just like, cool, let me just open it and like see. And he got through the screen once, and you kind of saw him again on the second like come in, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in the game. I'm in the game. I can play the game. And it was just like maps were loading, and like it was a different experience. And so I immediately got the upgrade, and then having the adaptive feedback on the triggers and everything, I was like, this game is blowing my fucking mind. Like, I had a photo shoot in my apartment and I had recently got the PS5, and I was changing between I think I was putting on fucking my Jack half as cosplay at the point. Like, it wasn't getting in everything, but I was like doing the jacket. And the photographer's just on the couch, and he was looking at the PS5. I'm like, have you played it yet? And he was like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, you need to like feel out the adaptive like triggers and like all the feedback and haptic feedback. And so I pull up Borderlands and just open to a random Zane file I had. And I literally came back like 5 minutes later, and he just sat there for another 20, just like the wide eyed, just this, oh my God, like losing his fucking mind, just running in a circle, killing like COV, like nothing. He was just like, this is magic. And I'm like, that's the feeling you want when someone picks up a Borderlands game like that. It breaks my heart. a little tangential, but everything I do is, so it's fine. But when I was at the pre-screening, I was sat next to these two guys, and then on the other side there was this little German reviewer, and who had no idea about any of the games, and I have no idea who the two guys next to me, like how they were invited, what they did, whatever. They weren't really chatty, but they were playing the trailers for the games, like every game that ever had like the like old school classic kind of like TV spots on the screen before everything. And I heard them start talking, and they started talking about, oh, have you played the games? And I was like, no, I like tried. I did a little bit, but you know, it just doesn't. I don't know. There's something with the looting mechanic, and they start just like getting all the facts wrong about it, and not like it was just so clear they hadn't like been able to figure out the game. And I was sitting there like in conversation with my friend that came with me, and we both just like are trying so hard to not like actually interrupt, but we cannot carry on our conversation anymore because we've both heard this, and we're just going, okay, like this is that's fine. And I'm like, I want people like that to be able to pick up a new Borderlands game and not feel like they don't know what the fuck they're doing and what this mechanic is and what a looter shooter is supposed to be. You also don't have to like looter shooters, but like Borderlands is a mechanically fun game to play. So even if you hate the story of 3, if you think 2 is really dated, whatever it is, like there are things that will make your brain go burr if you find the right way to play it.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody the other day, and this is how all my stories start. I was talking with somebody, and I don't remember who. But
you're like a preacher on a Sunday. Just there's a man in a supermarket last Wednesday.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about how basically the looting system on Borderlands games is a lot like gambling, and how if somebody has somebody in their family that has got a gambling problem, like you could literally get them addicted to like the Borderlands games, and they would probably get that same endorphin rush.
I feel really called out. You're so right.
Yeah. And then they would just be like, oh, I don't need to gamble anymore. I'm just going to go farm for a 94 sham.
I can't tell you the superstition that just ignites in my body when I'm just sitting here and it's like I've been trying to farm one thing or I'm trying to kill one thing and I like almost kill it the first time and then like I just can't get my groove back and I can't walk away because I almost had it right the first time. I will so stubbornly like it is the you die trying to get back to even like every time in gambling. That is how I feel about Borderlands when I just get completely off my shit. But then I get like a Cobra in like 10 tries or I get the sham in 1 try and then I'm like, okay, what's next, I guess? And then I die to Jack 18 times a day because I can't focus because I'm thinking about a trailer. So, you know, skill issue versus gambling addiction. I think either way, it has a lot going for it.
Yep.
I love it. We did have Polly ask, I just saw this tweet when I was like, hey, if you want to like ask anything, should Borderlands 4 introduce character creation, like make your own vault hunter? And if so, how would it affect skill trees?
Yeah, see, I don't know how they could do that. I think Wonderlands is unique in that aspect because you are literally making characters in a D&D campaign. So it's not like you have like a template and it's like, okay, this is going to just neatly fit everything in here.
Yeah.
If you're making like maybe what they could maybe do is allow you to make the physical appearance of the character, but their skill tree is going to have to be their skill tree unless they come up with some way that we just can't wrap our brains around yet of how they would make the skill trees modifiable or something. I don't know. Yeah. So like in my mind, I don't know that there's a way that they could do that without changing a lot of what we're used to.
Yeah, I don't think in the numbered games they should, but I like that in the Wonderlands franchise because yeah, it's like kind of like, have you played any of Baldur's Gate or watch any of Baldur's Gate? So it's like with that, like you can create your own character and do your thing, or take one of the pre-mades, or then there's one called the Dark Urge that everyone calls the Dirge that you can make look however you want, but that does have a like written in storyline of the game. But the thing is, you're not speaking when you're in like cutscenes with people. You're not doing anything like that, but you still have the world like interacting around you as that character. You can do just a vanilla character that's not connected and run with it. And those templates are there to pick your class and do all that. But it does give you the option to have like a tie-in story and be customizable in that both your class and background and everything except for your actual like true background. I could see Wonderlands doing stuff like that. I just think Borderlands is not focused enough on I say this after sucking the story's dick, not focus enough on story for it to be a priority. Like it changes so much by having that. And so many complaints people have is like, why aren't we in the cutscenes with like Lilith or doing this and we just let this happen? Or why don't I say anything at this point? Or like you lose a lot of that personality if you're just making it like generic voice lines.
Yeah. So like, yeah. So it would be nice if in the future games we definitely like it seems like just the basic of them referring to your character by the character's name would be nice.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people complained about the hey killer in Borderlands 3, and I'm like, no, that's perfect. I truly appreciated being called killer myself.
I'm sure you did. No idea why. No idea why. Just
first time I played, I was like, oh shit, they talking
thought
to
of me. It's for me.
This entire game is just for me.
That's where the allegations truly started.
That's where it happened. Yeah. They were playing through the game. And they're like, what? They only made this game for that guy.
Exactly.
No, it would be nice if like you did feel more involved. Your character felt more involved in a lot of the story beats. Borderlands 3 actually did a couple of things where your character was involved, but it could be better. Like, you know, Troy phase locks you and then chases Wainwright and it's like leaves you hanging there for a second.
I do love that scene though. Like it's such a good, it's my favorite cutscene in the game.
Yeah. But then, you know, people are always talking about how like, you know, you come out of the vault and, you know, Maya dies, spoiler.
What?
It's like, yeah. And they're always like, well, why doesn't your Vault Hunter do anything? I'm like, did you not remember in Borderlands 2 when we literally stood face to face with Roland as he got murdered?
Jack comes an inch from our face and like threatens
and we just stand there.
Yeah, it's fine.
At least he's talking to us, right? I guess.
Exactly. I love that scene so much, but I'm also like, I mean, is anyone surprised that I love that scene?
Right.
Like, no.
It's a great scene, though.
It's a great scene, and it's so well done. Not for Roland, but it's such a defining moment and a turn of the game, and so effective in what it does. That's why Bloodwing is so effective. Like, it is. The story beats in it are just so well done with that, and the punctuation of Jack like finally revealing himself and coming to do that. A fucking plus. Like it is so good. And so I feel like where I get frustrated in that as a Maya main, I'm always like, hello, I'm a siren. Why wouldn't you take us both? Like that is, you're saying, right. I have a siren right here and you're a siren staring an inch from my face. And like the little things that can like say they hand waved it is if you're in that Jack battle for a while and you go through all his voice lines, like he says, you're powerless siren. That's why I didn't take you, duh. And there's like little bits like that where it's like in the echo logs, Angel's like, she doesn't seem to have the same connection to Iridium as Lilith does, but we know sirens do. Like, that's the thing. It's just something that either Angel covered or whatever, but we're never going to dive into that lore. Right. And so whatever nitpicks with 2, I feel like TPS really fixed because it felt like your Vault Hunters were more involved because you just had different responses to things. And you're in a cutscene in Claptastic. But like, unless if you're playing Athena, you're like set. You're there. Right. You're in plenty of cutscenes. But anyone else? But it got so close to having that connection that I feel like if they just had like calling you by your name or moments where, you know, not even like a choices matter moment, but like just a moment where your character, your backstory, if you're playing a siren, if you're playing the mech, if you're playing a soldier, whatever, affects that story beat. A+. All I want.
Right.
All I want.
Yeah.
All I want.
Yep. I want a main villain that I love to hate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. I love villains so much. And I just want a strong one that you genuinely are either rooting for or against in whatever way. Like I want to have a reaction to them.
Yep. And also, I want the opening song to be Bop by Hanson.
Oh my God. I would pay money. I would pay real money. I would genuinely. It would be the funniest thing they could fucking do.
Or Lucky Star by Madonna.
See, I was picturing like a Guns N' Roses thing, but I like where you're going better. Or like a, not even classic rock, but like, you know, that vibe of Borderlands, like that alt rock kind of thing. Like, I could, you know, that's where my brain's been going. Like, let's follow the pattern. I like where you're going better. I do.
Don't encourage me.
No, make it like a virgin. Just go home. Like, it's perfect. Just like full swing it. It's fine. We got Girl on Fire at the end of 3. Maybe we could. Maybe we can petition this.
Anything's possible at this
Get
point.
Hot to Go as the opening song for Borderlands 4. That's what we need.
No, what we need is some 2 Live Crew. Get some 2 Live Crew in there.
So good. Just Daft Punk. Oh my god, Daft Punk would actually kind of slap. I actually kind of like that.
That could actually work. It take us back to like the Borderlands 2. What was it? The Meat Bicycle Built for 2, where they had the that dun 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 dun, that song. I can't remember what that was called now.
Do what Alan Wake did and like get it in Universe Band at the time and have like Herald of Darkness kind of shit, and that's what you need. That's what we need. We need an original song. Important things.
We've solved all the problems now.
We have.
There's nowhere else for them to go.
Someone else asked the Jolt's comment of things, needing to be part of BL4, which I believe were just mostly dedicated drops. And that was it. What would be your request to make this game work better, hopefully at launch? And would you quit if this didn't happen? Also, what would be your breaking point?
So I think, what you're referring to is Jolts had tweeted that if Borderlands 4 doesn't have dedicated drops at launch, which is something we're used to with like Borderlands 2 is where it really got refined. Borderlands 1 didn't really do dedicated drops. It became like a thing in Borderlands 2, and they nailed the system pretty well. Not at first. It did take them 3 years before they fixed the drop rate so that they were actually reasonable and not everything's pearlescent rarity drop rate,
Yeah.
But then Borderlands 3 released, and you had a bunch of named enemies that didn't drop anything, and me and Jolts compiled a huge list of those and sent that to Gearbox, and luckily they listened and they did fix it, but it took a little while. So I think it was like November, maybe October. No, I think it was like November when they finally fixed, and they didn't fix all of them at that point. It was early the next year, I believe it was, when they finally spread out the loot pools. But even then, there's still, to this day, bosses that have 3 dedicated drops in their loot pool, and you have these gigantic maps. Like, just think of Splinterlands, for example, in Borderlands 3. In Splinterlands, you got Road Dog. You got, I can't remember its name, that's like up on the hill that you have to do the pause mission to fight.
Yeah.
Then you got DJ Dead Skag. You got the thing that drops the Deathless, the big firebird, the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then you got Tarantella. So, but even though you have all those on this map, you still have a lot of room on this map, and you have Road Dog with 3 dedicated drops in his loot pool. Well, if you can move 2 of those out and he only has 1 item in his loot pool, isn't that better? So you're not sitting there trying to get a Hellwalker, and instead you're getting red lines and splatter guns. Just put some more enemies on the maps. And that was another thing. Like, Wonderland's really...
Sorry, I'm like still trying to remember the name. Big Donnie. I was like, what the fuck is his name? Okay, yeah, sorry, my brain would not let that go.
No, you're good. Yeah, Big Donnie. Also, Queen Antoinette is also on that map. So, so Borderlands 3 does a good job. Like, they've got maps where they have like a bunch of different enemies on there, but give us more. Like, if you have that many enemies and you still can't spread out the loot so that even Queen Antoinette has 2 drops in her loot pool, like, and nobody's farming either of those.
No. And I think we see that a lot with like how we pace, like, and just schedule the hunt too, when we're looking at like the drops for that. Like, that makes it way more apparent than what a casual playthrough would look like or if even just Googling like where to get this drop, you wouldn't realize how like systematic it really is. And how stacked, and that there are just ways to like, okay, this is where you're gonna knock out 10 of them right here, and then you go to this map for one reason over here and you never go back to it, kind of vibe.
Electricity.
Fuck electricity. Fuck electricity. Fuck that map. What I need, okay, my answer for this is better fucking maps. And I keep saying I don't know how I would change them, because it's like the moment I'm on autopilot, I can follow the map and be fine. The moment I look at the minimap or I think about for a second, I'm suddenly fucking backwards. And the 3D maps are cool, but I need it like Cyberpunk, where like even with the 3D map, even with the turning, there's just the line that goes in your little mini map that will readjust for if you go a different route, if you want to go off route. Like, remove some of that bullshit, because the moment I have to stop and get unimmersed, which I hate the fucking word immersion right now, but like it's everywhere with AI bullshit. But if I have to stop that and then open up the map and turn it sideways and look at it and figure out, okay, is this a dead end over here? And then I go back around, where did I turn wrong? And like have my little neurodivergent moment of like this is not the way I normally go. I hate this. No, like absolutely not. Just give me a line on the mini map that you can toggle on and off. Like that's all I want.
Yeah. And, you know, more so like we got a lot of really good quality of life improvements with Borderlands 3 in terms of like movement. And we no longer needed to rocket jump or grenade jump to get to places.
But like a proper grapple kind of thing. Yeah.
Anything that, or even like temporary jetpacks, like for all the crap that Suicide Squad did wrong, and they did a lot of stuff wrong, most of it being just they didn't know how to do in game.
Yeah.
The traversal in that game, S tier. The traversal in that game is godly. Like if you want to get to the other side of the map, you can do that on that game, and you can do it fairly reasonably no matter which character you're playing as. All four of the characters had like their own different way that they could travel and travel fast, and that stuff was great. Oh, but they just forgot. You know what they forgot to do? Dedicated drops.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that keeps people going back to looter shooters. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy to think about. It's insane. It's insane. No, but yeah, I think dedicated drops. I don't think it would, nothing would. I don't want to be like, nothing is going to break my love of Borderlands, but I have a fucking Borderlands sleeve. Like, I just like, there's so much love in these games that like, I'm going to find something to love about it. And, you know, I'll be honest about however I feel about it. But I don't think there's going to be anything that I'm like, well, that's the shot that broke the camel's back. I'm done. I'm giving up on this franchise. If it hits literally any of the marks at all. Like if it were new Tales in shooter form, maybe I would be more disenchanted of it, but it's just not, it's not going to be that. Like, it's just not going to be. And so dedicated drops are good, but I can wait till post launch if we need to. Yeah.
I think the forced 3-story playthroughs would be the thing for me to break it. As much as I love Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, and even Borderlands 1 is fun to me, but not something I want to go back to. Being forced to play through the exact same story, it doesn't change at all. Pre-sequel changes a little bit, but even that's not significant enough to make me want to be like, okay, let's do that again. Like my favorite books, I've maybe read them twice, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't read them back to back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you're talking about a video game story, and as good as a video game story can be, most of them aren't even paling in comparison to like a good novel or a good movie. Most of them, not all of them. Okay. But how many times are you like going to say in your life, that was a good story, let me do it again 2 more times?
So I think these are moments where I feel really neurodivergent, and I'm like, yes, hello. So do you, it was for a reason, but I stopped keeping track, and it's sometime in high school, a little bit before, but do you know how many times before I stopped counting I read the 5th Harry Potter book?
Oh my God, how many?
115.
Jesus Christ.
The movie Red Eye by Wes Craven, I remember one day I was homesick, and it's like a fine thriller. It's something crazy. I love Wes Craven's, whatever. One day when I was homesick from school, I had it on, and as soon as it ended, I just restarted it, and then I did it a 3rd time. Borderlands, I used to...
Hey Siri, get a restraining order against Speaking Lion.
It's the neurodivergent. It's like having a song on loop and you can't. Borderlands 2, I used to literally I would run through UVHM on Maya, like my comfort little file. I would like kill the warrior and immediately restart the game. And I kept saying, I wish I could choose which levels, because I really want to be able to start from like a damn fine rescue and go all the way through where angels fear to tread, and then just replay that bit. Like that's where I want to like replay. I don't want to have to like maybe sometimes go to the warrior, but I hate toil and trouble and then the setting up the beginning. But I would just do that as like this comfort game because I'm insane. But that's the thing. I know I'm not the target for that. And so the 3 gameplay stuff doesn't bother me as much, but it does in things like the hunt where I need to like get somewhere and like do the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so we're in BL2 with the OP levels, but OP levels are just broken as fuck, and we never need to see those ever again. Like just retire. No. Please no.
That would be my breaking point.
I was gonna say that's actually my breaking point.
That's my breaking point. Yeah.
No, yeah, if we go back to OP levels and you peak, no. Absolutely not. We're not playing for.
So I'm giving you grief about like this whole rereading a story and over and over again, but I'm sitting here thinking, how many times have I farmed for the Revolter and the Sham? And I'm like, wait a second. I'm also crazy.
We're crazy in different ways. That's the thing. It's like the amount of time like spent on one or the other. Like I've replayed story games so many times. Until Dawn, I've replayed dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But because they're choice based and I try to find the different ways, and you know that scratches brain. There are a lot of games I start that I like that I just like can't. But then there are games like Portal 2 or Outlast that I have memorized, but and they're puzzles, but I will still play them and have hundreds to thousands of hours because I'm an insane person. And so what we get out of the games can be very different. And it's hard with a game that is kind of its own genre with that, because nothing has really stood up to what Borderlands is. And no one has been able to crack that code to have something that can feel, you know, like you're getting something out of it. And it's really hard when you're in it for one thing to remember that the game also caters to other things, because it is that in between. And so things like dedicated drops, I completely understand why we need it. And me as a streamer and a creator kind of person, like, yes, we'll lose my mind doing that. However, casual players playing it aren't going to play this game for hundreds of hours to go find every drop possible and do that.
Right.
They need a compelling story to have any reason to keep playing or any stakes to keep playing. And so you have to find the balance of it to be truly a more mainstream game, and having things like the traversal like upgrades and having something that's not just like, I really like the mantling and sliding, but like if we had like a true, you know, like better mechanic for that, or like a double jump or something that allows that kind of flexibility on the map that 3 did major leaps and bounds to improve on. I feel like having a next gen game, it's really important to balance a lot of those mechanics, but also give us drops because we're loot goblins. Exactly.
Need my fix.
Need the fix.
Imagine like Wonderlands. Imagine Wonderlands if they didn't attach dedicated drops to loot luck. We could do a hunt on Wonderlands.
I'm hoping the like they haven't announced it, whatever, it's speculation, but like a Wonderlands 2, because they have said when they're like, oh, this franchise, like they're calling it its own franchise. So assuming we're getting more in that installment, I want them to allow that kind of thing. Like a Wonderlands Hunt would slap. And I think Loot Luck was really interesting. It just got it kind of wrong with how we play the game. And having something that feels very like, I say this as a D&D nerd, but very TTRPG focused, and having some of those mechanics like more built into the game while still keeping that like the loot grind, loot drop stuff, like absolutely chef's kiss. Absolutely chef's kiss. But no, I think there's a lot of potential there for to do its own thing. And I think that's part of my hesitation being like, this is my breaking point, or this is what it needs, because we don't know what we don't know. And to your point, like none of us have seen this game. None of us have played this game. None of us know anything about other than this minute trailer that just fucking launched of this game. And so having something that is like, we need dedicated drops and this kind of loot and this melee weapon and stuff, like they could introduce an entirely new mechanic that we have no idea we want, that is actually exactly what we want. And I feel like the mayhem levels were close to that. The re-rolling of the Iridium, like they did a lot of stuff in 3 that allows that kind of growth that I'm really hoping for, just kind of like shocks us and reinvents not only the story but the genre a little bit, to be like, okay, I didn't realize I was really into that. You still have your raid bosses, but holy shit, look at all these other options we have. And I'm hoping with skill trees and stuff we stay with, I don't know, I don't even need it like a 3-way. Like 3 had so many options, it's a little overwhelming when I first like open the UI. But like just even in a TPS way where it just feels very unique to the class you are playing, that's all I really want.
Right.
Because then you do get diversity that way.
Do you want to see the Borderlands games return to more of a like co-op focus? Because I know like yeah, I'm with you. I've heard a lot of people say that they want to have like 6-player raids and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's Destiny, man. Stick to Destiny on that. Because
give us an MMO.
That overwhelms me.
Don't do it in the numbered series. Yeah. I like being able to do this offline, playing a game, doing the thing. Like, let me have my, you know, I'm playing way too many hours of the single player game that I can choose to make multiplayer if I want. But I'm sorry, Shift has also not been good at multiplayer. Like, it just hasn't. No. And I don't want to put all my eggs in the basket of something that literally will end 1 lives or then randomly drop or then fuck up a whole Guardian takedown. Like, it just, there are so many issues that come with it, especially cross-platform. If we had a separate entry in the franchise that was MMO PvP, that was very multiplayer focused, I feel like they got so close with Arms Race and the takedowns to have something like that. Make it a standalone thing or make it a DLC thing. The actual base game, no. Let me have that individual story that you can bring people in, but I think having that story that has a replayability that we want can't exist with like a 6-person kind of raid takedown. Like that's a different product you're wanting.
Right. I agree.
High five. We're reasonable people. Loving Borderlands. We're correct. We have the correct Borderlands takes.
We are right and everybody else is wrong.
Exactly. That's going to go over so well. It's totally fine. Okay. What are you expecting to like? Are you expecting to hear anything more soon? What are you hoping for? Are you wanting like a Commander Lilith kind of tie-in, or are you just wanting them to let it bake? Tell us when they're ready.
You know, people keep asking me if I think that they're going to do any additional DLC with Borderlands 3, and I just don't know how they can.
I don't think it's worth it
because of the size of the game as it is already. Like, if you're on like a console, you have to like uninstall stuff.
It's a massive game.
Yeah,
I have a separate fucking drive for it. Like, it is just, it's fucking insane. I also just don't think it needs it. 3 has so much content as is. Like, it would be like a Chaos Chamber kind of thing and people get mad. Like, 3 is in a good state right now, and getting the port to Switch was huge. I think the fact that we're getting new cosmetic drops and stuff like that in 3 is going to help. I think also the Hunt coming up gives us a chance to replay 3 and remember how amazing it really is.
Yep.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Do the Hunt.
Nudge, nudge, September 13th.
Support the Hunt. For the
Supports
kids.
the kids of St. Jude.
Dude, St. Jude Play Live was so good. We haven't talked since then about like we've talked, but like not on here kind of thing. But like it's always so fucking incredible.
Yeah. It's always like a life-changing experience to go to the campus of St. Jude. Only been there twice, but both times after I left, I was like, I want to go home and raise more money.
No, it changes you. Like, I think like a DNA kind of moment. It feels so real and authentic. And I genuinely, before I went, the Hunt was like my favorite time of year because it just feels so sincere. And after leaving, like, I'm so excited for this Hunt. And I'm really hoping the hype from this, like, it's gonna help. I hope. And one, because I think people need to revisit 3 who haven't. It's why I love when we do 3 hunts, because it kind of makes people go like, oh, you're right. Like, if I gave this game another chance and like played it in a different way, or a lot of people who haven't played it since launch who like won't touch it, if they go back to it, it's a lot of fun. But 2, just engaging with it in the community, it's going to be so hype. It's going to be so hype.
Yeah, it's always fun for me as a person that's like kind of helped organize it for a few years. And I never compete to like be competitive because I would never have a chance anyhow. But for me, like the first like 2 days of the hunt and seeing like the crazy drops that people get while they're maybe not even trying to get certain things, and like something crazy and what happens, it's just like that randomness. And people always ask me how I can keep playing the Borderlands games over and over again. It's the randomness of these games. Every playthrough is different. Doing allegiance runs is so much fun. Doing the hunt is life-changing. Like the very first time I did a hunt and realized, you know, what we could do as a community and how we could actually literally change people's lives. It was mind blowing to me, because, you know, I'm just some poor kid from Podunk, West Virginia. And all of a sudden here I am, part of something bigger, a part of a community doing something bigger to like actually improve people's lives. And to me, that's, you know, can it get any better than that? I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. Borderlands, like, as much as it feels like the community's massive, it really isn't for the active community. And we've had hundreds of thousands of dollars between all the hunts raised in this community for like just from our community. And that's insane to think about. And humbling to think about that we get to play these games and do dumb stuff. Like literally last BL3 hunt, I'm like sitting there just getting tracked for how I pronounce Reese's and sitting there like getting no drops. I had like 20 points halfway into the hunt. Like I was so bad at it, but it was fun and we were raising money and it's like serious money, and it actually actively matters. Like it goes directly to, like, you see tangibly what it goes to. And I think our community's excitement around that is what I love most, because with so much negativity in the community about just like opinions of what we need in Reddit and stuff like that, like you really see the best of the best come out of it during the hunt, where people just genuinely get excited, one, for Borderlands and to play Borderlands, and two, to do something good with it. And it's one of the coolest things I think we do.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last hunt, we raised $76,000, almost 77,000. We were so close to hitting 77. That's the most we'd ever raised. And that was on Borderlands. Was that on Borderlands?
That was 2. That was Borderlands 2. So I remember I was farming Uranus on like Super Bowl day, trying to like get this last pearl, and then I missed one.
A game that's over a decade old.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
And that was without a like Gearbox donation. Like I think it was Hungo Bird that had one that was close, but like this was without any type of big corporate donation. Right.
I think it was $20,000 that 2K had donated during the Hunt Goes Burr, which is massive, and we love them for that. So yeah, and I don't think we even really had a whole lot of like tweets or anything about it from Gearbox or 2K. Now, not that they have to do that, but
no. And if you're listening to this and you do want to sponsor the hunt, contact me, because we're working on that and we have some really exciting ones lined up. So absolutely feel free to get on it, because it's going to be massive this year.
Nice.
We're excited.
And if you want to learn more, borderlandshunt.com.
Look at that. Hashtag not even sponsored. We're just raising money for the kids.
Oh, man.
Borderlands
Lion, it's always great talking to you.
It's all right talking to you. You're fine.
Oh, I'm okay, I guess.
You're fine. You are Big Daddy K. When you're Big Daddy K, you're fun to talk to. I forget about that so many times, and then someone in chat will like ask about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, he is Big Daddy K. I love that.
Daddy K. That's my rap name, actually.
It is. I appropriated it, honestly, and I'm not sorry about it. Thank you so much for coming back on, though.
Thank you for having me.
When you want to come screech more about Borderlands 4, we have several months. Please feel free. I know a few people were hitting him today.
We were doing this live while it happened, because it would just be us nonstop just screaming. Honestly, what we need to do when we know there's going to be something, like if there's like a gameplay reveal or something, we just need to like record it live. Hop on, do it live, and just lose our fucking mind, because it really would be. I had just locked. Hopped on a work meeting. I was like, I know the 2K showcase is later. I know that's fine. I'm going to block out work at this time, so then if I need to hop on stream or need to do something, I can like watch it. And I've been on calls all morning, and I clicked on this meeting, and I clicked over to Slack, and then I just see my Discord light up, and I was like, oh my god, it happened. And I didn't hear a word the whole meeting. I was like just sitting here on Twitter, like poker facing it, going, okay, every single screenshot, let me tab through every single screenshot. And oh my god, it was feral. So yes, we do need to do a live next time, so I can actually verbalize any of that. Yeah, the only problem is we didn't know when it was going to happen either. We didn't, which is proof. It is proof we have no idea what's happening, because we would have fucking done that, because it would have been more efficient and more fun. Yep. But instead we had all day to simmer about it and, accidentally have the same wallpapers. Yep. Thank you for joining us this week on DLC Required. We'll see you next week with more chaos, more mayhem, more gamer bullshit, which maybe we'll have more Borderlands news. Maybe we won't, and we'll talk about other gaming shit. But either way, we're fucking hyped for it. Let me know if you're hyped in the comments. Go do your thing. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, wherever you are. I love you. Thank you so much for listening. You're the best. And we'll see you next week. Bye.